All right, what's going on, YouTube? A really cool article hit venturebeat.com, and it's an interview with Scott Taylor, executive producer for Rise of Iron, okay? What's going on, guys? It's Mesa Fail, Mesa Sean, Table Sean. People are saying, are you saying Mesa Fail? No, it's Mesa Fail. It's just I'm about self-deprecating humor. I like to make fun of myself. Anyway, there's an article called Destiny, Rise of Iron producer on the pressures of the update, engagement, and player trust. A lot of juicy stuff in here, but I want to talk about character development and some other things within this article, but I'm going to link the whole thing in the description. So one of the questions they ask is, do you think Bungie knew what it was getting into with Destiny with the need for so much content coming out so quickly? All right, part of the answer, he goes, I think of it as looking at different ways to support the game. When we decided to do an expansion like this, Rise of Iron, a lot of it is because we're getting feedback like, quote, I want a campaign, I want a new place to explore, new real estate, new zone, new story to learn about the lore in the game. We thought this expansion was a good way to try to accomplish those goals. Now, I've always said this before, and I totally sound like a Bungie fanboy here, but you gotta admit I'm right in this one. Destiny has made leaps and bounds when it went from vanilla Destiny to the Dark Below, to the House of Wolves, to the Taken King, then we have the live events, and then to the April update. That's why I think this is going to be the best expansion yet, because you tack on the loot system of the April update to a paid expansion. I think we're going to have a really good time with the quests, with the new loot and exotics and all that stuff. We know exotics. We know new exotics are coming. Scott confirmed in a Playboy interview, exotics we've never seen before. Now, he is asked a little bit about Destiny 2, and that is he worried about, or is Bungie worried about players kind of already waiting for Destiny 2 and kind of forgetting about this game, but he does a pretty good job of diverting that question and just focusing on what they're delivering and what they've been working on and kind of how the game's been evolving, and that it's a totally different game that it is now than it was when it first launched. Now, here's going to be the juicy part of this article, and we're going to go through this in depth, okay? So they ask him, one thing I noticed about the Taken King was how it took the characters who existed already and started giving them more personality. Will we see more of that in Rise of Iron? So Scott goes, yes, that's been the trend, right? We had Eris that we introduced in the Dark Below. We've learned a lot about her. We fleshed that out further in the Taken King. Petra, who's introduced in a tower event called the Queen's Wrath. If you guys didn't know, that was like the first month Destiny came out. And that's where I got my Chasing Infinity ship that everyone asks me about. So then Scott says, so Petra, then we evolved her story to move to the Reef and talk about the Queen and the Fallen and the history of those things along with Varix, our first combatant vendor. We learned about him. And then Kate 6, you finally know who he is now. So then GamesBeat goes, right, that's funny, because we just thought of the guy as just to get stuff. Oh, now he's got personality. So Scott goes, the fun thing about that is, in Destiny, you can think of these characters as wallpaper or background detail, but I think of them as opportunities for us to dive into. Sauron has been in the game since the beta, during Iron Banner, the ritual of Iron Banner in the tower. You've seen this guy whether you play PvP or not. Now, when we came up with this expansion, we decided to take that character that we don't know much about, this ritual we don't know much about. We know that some of these cool names and these weapons and things, these armor that looks great, why don't we find out why he's doing what he's doing and tell this story? Now here's the quote of all quotes in the article. When I look at the Destiny universe, I see a lot of opportunity to tell stories about these characters that, you look at the Cryptarch and Xur, we don't know much about them, but they're cool characters. I'm curious about them. I want to know more about the Cryptarch. He seems mean. What's going on with Xur? We're trying to create these opportunities, and then these expansions are a great place to dive into those. You see Cade, and you smile now because you know who Cade is. I feel like I have a good sense of who Eris is. After this release, you'll know about Saladin, and we're introducing more characters in the new social space, and we hope that people are curious about them too. So a few things I want to take away from that comment, okay? First off, I want to learn about the Cryptarch and I want to learn about Xur. We're going to have more NPCs in this new social space, Fellwinter's Peak. I thought it was just going to be one, but he said plural there, so it means more than one. And I wonder what that's going to be. I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of Iron Lord vendor there, where I'm sure that's where we're going to get all of our Iron Lord gear from, okay? Obviously, we saw Raid gear, we saw Iron Lord gear, a whole bunch, and Trials gear, okay? And all the screenshots that came out of Rise of Iron. But what I'm more tweaked about is the whole storytelling regarding Xur or the Cryptarch. You know, Xur, or at least I don't know anything about him. And I did some research and just did a whole bunch of looking up in the databases and stuff. There's not much about Xur at all. Other than that, he's responsible for releasing Skull-Ass, okay, because of the 9. The 9 had him release Skull-Ass. There's a great video I'm going to leave in the description from Mylan Games. He was a guest on Guardian Radio. He's another great lore channel aside from General Bife, who does all his lore videos. But definitely give that one a watch. He goes through all the Grimoire and basically anything that's related to Xur. And who doesn't want to find out about the Cryptarch, okay? I want to learn more about him. So I'm thinking down the road, whether it's not this expansion, but future expansions, we're going to learn more about all the characters possibly in the tower or other social spaces. So I'm psyched to learn more about Lord Saladin, find out what exactly happened to the Iron Lords. We know in The Taken King they added a lot more cutscenes and a lot more in-game storytelling. I hope they continue that. It seems like they are. They keep plugging that every time. They want to tell story, they want to tell story, they want to tell more story. So definitely have a read of this full article. There's not too much in there more in terms of spoilers or leaks or anything, but he kind of goes on to just talk about, well, they know that there's only PvP players, and then that there's only PvE players, or there's the hardcore raid people, or that there's the people that just want to play a good old campaign, and they're trying to really tie everything in with this expansion. So kind of like with the April update, how there was multiple ways to get to 335. And I know that annoyed some people that, okay, anyone can get to 335, but I liked it. I mean, I was part of that Forever 29 club before the Vault, well, during the Vault of Glass for that matter, and I think everyone should be able to get to max light level and not have to do everything in the game. But I do think the story of the Iron Lords and the story of Lord Garden Saladin is going to tie in between PvP and PvE. Scott has mentioned this a few times in this interview and in the previous interviews that kind of like PvP and PvE will go hand in hand. I'm speculating here. I'm just kind of reading into some of the little key things that he says in these interviews. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. That's it. Drop a like at this video only if you see fit. Follow me on the Twitter at Mesa Sean. Check out my stream, usually on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And that's it. I'm out of here like Vladimir.